We welcome Professor Hiroshi Amano to the Academy of Sciences of Moldova, this time through the virtual space, hoping that the pandemic will weaken and Professor Amano will have the possibility in the near future to pay a visit to the Republic of Moldova in the real space too. So I am honored to give the floor to Professor Hiroshi Amano to present the public lecture, Economical Profit of Establishing a Renewable Energy Society. Dear Professor Amano, you have the floor, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction, Professor Ayan Tigianu. Good morning, the member of the Academy of Science of Moldova. And congratulations on the 60th anniversary of the Academy of Science of Moldova. So it is my great honor to present our activity at this conference. So I'd like to share my slide.
Okay.
Can you see my slides or okay? So good morning, everyone. It is my great honor to present our recent activities. The economical profit of establishing a renewable energy-based society using the new materials, that is the blue light emitting diode materials. Okay. In this presentation, I'd like to emphasize that fundamental science and research is very important to change the world. This is the content of my presentation. First, I would like to explain what is blue LEDs for my supervisor, Professor Isamu Akasaki, when I was a student. And the blue LEDs for young students, that's me, okay. And the second, I would like to explain our challenge for establishing a carbon neutral society using a new semiconductor material. Let me explain what is gallium nitride. The gallium nitride is a compound semiconductor compound of metallic gallium and nitrogen, like gallium arsenide or gallium phosphide. But gallium nitride is transparent, and its LED chip is as small as like this. Okay. So first, I'd like to explain the personal history of my supervisor, Professor Isamu Akasaki. Unfortunately, he passed away this April, but his legacy was very big. His research started from 1964 for compound semiconductor crystal growth. He moved from Nagoya University to Matsushita, now Panasonic, in 1964. And he started the gallium arsenide, another compound semiconductor, especially the crystal growth. And he succeeded to fabricate the GaN diode, microwave transistor, microwave oscillators. And then he grew gallium phosphide, and he succeeded red LEDs and green LEDs. But he thought that even though he was successful in gallium arsenide and gallium phosphide, he felt that he followed American or European researchers' invention. So he was seeking his originality. Okay. Then he started the gallium nitride growth by molecular beam epitaxy in 1973. He was supported by Ministry of International Trade and Industry. And at that time, MB technology was very, very preliminary stage. So all other people opposed to start by MBE, but he overcome this opposition, and then he started the MB technology of gallium nitride. But he only observed blue cathode luminescence from gallium nitride, which means it's a failure, not success. Then he changed to more common technology, HVPE, halogen transport vapor phase epitaxy, and succeeded to fabricate MIS type LEDs. But it was so-called RCA type LEDs. That is the American company's LEDs. So still, he felt that he followed the invention by American or by European. Unfortunately, the company manager decided to stop the research and development of blue LEDs by gallium nitride. And many other researchers all over the world also changed the research from gallium nitride to another material, that is zinc selenide. So he decided to move from Panasonic to Nagoya University in 1981. At that time, he went alone in the wilderness. That's his word. Okay. And then I entered his laboratory as an undergraduate student. For me, the blue LEDs is like a dream. So at that time, the display was the brown tubes. Maybe you know these brown tubes. It was too big. If I could achieve blue LEDs, I would change the world. That's my dream and motivation. When Professor Akasaki moved from private company to National University, the Nagoya University, this research fund was very small. Okay, we have more than 10 students, and the total budget per year is US dollar 30,000. So which means each student can use only 300 US dollar. So we don't have the system to start the new research or new crystal growth. So the students developed our own crystal growth system by ourselves. Okay, it's a one of a kind, unique. MOVP stands for metal organic vapor phase epitaxy. It's a new technology at that time. So it is our handmade MOVP reactor. And the beer bottle is very important, not for drinking, but to make a coil. Okay, yeah, we use coil, RF coil for heating, and RF coil itself is very expensive. So I bought the straight copper tube and heating it and winding it to the beer bottle, we can fabricate very nice RF coil. So in such a way, we could start the new crystal growth technology, that is MOVPE. And 3 years have passed without any success. And Professor Sawaki, at that time, associate professor of Akasaki laboratory, told me the story of boron phosphide on silicon, which was built by Professor Tatao Nishinaga. It was very, very good hint for me to use a buffer layer. Then I succeeded to grow world's highest quality gallium nitride all over the world at that time. Yeah, I sent the results to Applied Physics Letters, and it was soon published. I thought that I became very, very famous with this result. But unfortunately, this paper did not take notice of other researchers at all. Other researchers moved to zinc selenide. At that time, the zinc selenide booming all over the world. So no one were interested in the gallium nitride. But in such a situation, it is very interesting. And I should emphasize that Japan's Science and Technology Agency, JST, it is a financing agency, funding agency in Japan. They outsourced gallium nitride blue LED manufacturing technology to Nagoya University, Isamu Akasaki, and to Toyota Gosei. It's a private company in 1987. The total budget is 550 million yen, which is almost 5 million US dollar. And 10% of this money was gone to our laboratory. Still, it's very big. 50,000 US dollar. Okay. The before 1987, total budget of our lab was only 30,000 US dollar a year in total. But we got 500,000 US dollars, which is very big for us. And I have to mention that this funding was very successful, and the license fee from Toyota Gosei to JST was 4.6 billion yen, which is more than 8 times larger than that of the outsourced money. Why JST budgeted to gallium nitride blue LEDs? It is my guess. Blue LED was required, and JST definitely wanted to realize it. And the blue LED was a very, very difficult issue. Therefore, it is necessary to go back to the basics and tackle from material development. And many researchers are working at university and research institute, and the steady research is required. The JST people thought that. And the JST staff visited major laboratories in Japan, and most of them are basic research, such as luminescence property investigation. So it is called the academic research or university research, not the company's research. And it is extremely difficult to find research results that could lead to the practical application of blue LEDs. Maybe it is impossible to realize in the 20th centuries. And high-priced equipment, the crystal growth system and the fabrication system is required for semiconductor research. And there is insufficient funding to create technological seeds that can be put to practical use at the university. So in such a desperate situation, why GST people budgeted for gallium nitride blue LEDs? It is also my guess, okay? GST staff visited Prof. Akasaki on Saturday, November 1985. He was very surprised at the success of producing a high-quality gallium nitride single crystals by a buffer layer. And he definitely wanted to pick it up to industry academia collaboration project. And November 1985, Professor Akasaki presented at the Nagoya Chamber of Commerce and the industry lecture, and the Toyota Gosei people paid attention to it. And the December 20th, Professor Akasaki called the JST and introduced Toyota Gosei. For JST people, for supporting, the only university cannot support. They need a collaboration between the university and the company. So the Professor Akasaki found their partner, that is Toyota Gosei, but Toyota Gosei was a rubber country, not a semiconductor company. Okay, and next year, January, Toyota Gosei visited JST, and Toyota Gosei decided to carry out the development of blue LEDs on March 1986, and the next year, development officially started. But at JST, there was a very, very strong opposition. Why gallium nitride? Why Nagoya University? Why Toyota Gosei? Blue LED is a very heavy load for even for JST. Their favorite is zinc selenide. Many people conducted the zinc selenide research, and the Toyota Gosei was a rubber company, not a LED company. Why Toyota Gosei? Why zinc selenide? Why Nagoya University? But only one person decided there is no prospects of success even with zinc selenide. So if so, why not try gallium nitride? That's the only reason. So he is a connoisseur or the gambler. He gambled to gallium nitride and succeeded. Okay. For me, I entered the doctoral course. In Japan, the doctoral course is 3 years, only 3 years. And I have to write at least 3 journal papers to get a PhD at that time. And I wrote the buffer layer paper, each one. And also I could write a second paper. And at that time, many researchers thought that the p-type gallium nitride is impossible because of the self-compensation. The self-compensation means that if we put the acceptor impurity for p-type doping, n-type intrinsic defects is automatically formed, then it passivates the acceptor. It's idea of self-compensation. So many people said that p-type gallium nitride was impossible because of the self-compensation. But my impression is different. when I was a student, I thought that the cell compensation was only a poor excuse of the non-completion of p-type. I thought I could do that. Okay. But it was very difficult. I couldn't reach the p-type within the doctoral course, 3 years. But I found very interesting phenomena, low energy electron beam irradiation. We call it the LEEBI treatment. During my internship at NTT, I found that by electron beam irradiation, blue luminescence of zinc-doped gallium nitride was irreversibly enhanced. So I presented this interesting phenomena at the luminescence conference, International Luminescence Conference held at the Beijing, China. I believed that I was the first person to find this phenomena. So I could write a journal paper and I could get the PhD within 3 years, I thought. But there was a predecessor of LEEBI treatment. Moscow University Dr. Saparin already found just the same phenomena 4 years before my finding. So I found that I could not write a third paper for doctoral thesis. So consequently, I could not finish doctoral courses in 3 years. During my doctoral course for 3 years, I concentrate on seeking p-type gallium nitride, although all the efforts were in vain, fruitless. So I could not get PhD in 3 years. But yeah, I was very lucky that I could continue the research as a research associate, even without a PhD, by the support of Professor Isamu Akasaki. Then I could continue the research for p-type gallium nitride. And after 1 year, after the graduation of PhD, I found my mistake. I concentrated on using a zinc as a p-type dopant, but from the Phillips, the textbook, I found that magnesium is much, much better to zinc. Then I switched to magnesium, and using the LEEBI treatment, finally, I could reach the p-type gallium nitride and the PN junction LEDs. But I couldn't understand this meaning. For me, I was very happy that I could get the PhD. That's all for me. And in 1989, I appeared in the local newspaper behind Professor Akasaki. Professor Akasaki was there and me at the back of Professor Akasaki. That's all. And then 25 years have passed. And let me explain what had happened in 2014. I was aged 54. In September, our laboratory visited near Mount Fuji. Okay, this is the photos of our laboratory. Please remember these photos. And you know that the Nobel award ceremony is always held in December 10th. December 10th. It's a memory memorial date. The Alfred Nobel passed away in November, the December 10th, and there 2 months before, announcement is held every year. which means the early October. Okay. In 2014, announcement was held in October 7th. These three persons were received the Nobel Prize in Physics 2014. Professor Akasaki, he was very famous. He has been nominated as the candidate of Nobel laureate for more than 10 years. And Professor Shuji Nakamura, he's also very famous, extremely famous. But this person is nameless. So what had happened? Every year in early October, many journalists came to our office and waited for the announcement of Professor Akasaki's winning Nobel Prize. So always journalists requested me to give them very nice comment when Professor Akasaki received the prize. I enjoyed such a situation the first year or second year, but 10 years, the same request. So I was so tired of such a situation, so I decided to go abroad without informing to our university, Nagoya University, the France. And the announcement was held during my flight from Nagoya to Frankfurt. Frankfurt was transit, but I didn't know what happened. So when I get out from the plane and opened my PC, I found many emails entitled the congratulations or omedetou gozaimasu in Japanese. But no one wrote why so it's so happy. So I thought that I shouldn't receive such a large amount of email. So I found it. This was the spam mail, I thought. And with fear, I went to the Lyon final destination and found many journalist-like people are waiting for someone. So I thought, I was so lucky that some famous movie stars is coming with the same prize, but who? And then one of the journalists came to me and said that, "Are you Mr. Amano? You received the Nobel Prize." Wow. And the program happened in our university, Nagoya University. I went to France without informing to where I will go. So mass media interviewed my laboratory without me. So this is my photo at Mount Fuji. Okay. And also, I was missing at the press conference in Nagoya University, like this. Anyway, how blue LEDs change our lives? The reason why you can use the full color cellular phone or smartphone is because of the emergence of blue LEDs. And blue LEDs with a combination of fluorescent material to realize the white LEDs, it reduced the total power generation by about 7%. It is equivalent to power generated by more than a dozen nuclear reactors. And the impact on the overall economy is huge. Total sales of application production is huge, and employment creation is huge. At 2005, now it's much bigger. And again, I would like to emphasize that investment is very important. Total outsourced development cost from JST to Toyota Gosei was only 550 million Japanese yen or $5 million US. Okay. And LED lamps help people from the fear of darkness Mr. Gantumul, at that time Minister for Education and Science of Mongolia, visited Nagoya University and gave me a word of gratitude. The reason is, according to him, the normal lifestyle of Mongolian people is the nomad life, using a tent called gel. The people went going around, but the life itself is very tough and severe. So young Mongolian people abandoned the nomad life and tend to have the fixed housing. That was the social problem he claimed. But the emergence of LED lamp changed the mind of young Mongolian people. And I visited next year the family who continued the nomad life. And inside GEL, I really found that LED lamp is used inside GEL. I was so happy to see that. The LED lamp holds great promise for increasing the quality of life for over 1.5 billion people around the world who lack access to electricity grids. Due to its low power requirement, it can be powered by cheap local solar power. It's according to the Nobel Foundation. This is the Professor Akasaki's the blue LED story and the young students' blue LED story. And then I'd like to switch from the blue LEDs to power electronics, to flying vehicles. Okay. The contribution of LED lighting for energy savings and the reduction of greenhouse emission is huge. The world's LED energy saving effect is almost comparable to Japan's total power generation. However, the Japan got fossil award. Why? The reason is very simple. The ratio of coal, oil, and the natural gases for electricity grid generation is very large in Japan, more than 80%. How about in Moldova? I don't know, but in Japan, the ratio of fossil fuel is very large in Japan. That's the point, that's the problem for Japan's energy generation or electricity generation system. So the Prime Minister Suga declared that Japan will go carbon neutral by 2050 in policy speech last year. 2050 is 3 years, 30 years. So maybe you think that it is far away, but I think there is no time allowance. In case of blue LEDs, when I succeeded the crystal growth, and it took 30 years that the LED market exceeds 1 trillion yen. So market penetration needs a long time. So we start from now. But how to realize the carbon neutral? It's a very good hint by Professor Yoichi Kaya, the Club of Rome member. According to him, CO2 emission, F, can be divided into 4 parts. First part is the P, population. In Japan, by 2050, the population reduced to 3/4. But GDP per capita or the efficiency of the generation will increase by 50%. So we have to reduce another 2 terms. It's energy per GDP and CO2 emission per energy. its efficiency of final products, and this is the ratio of fossil fuels in primary energy. So we have to reduce these two terms. If, for example, we can reduce to 35% and 10%, total reduction or total CO2 emission can be reduced to 4%. The 4% of CO2 emission is the ratio of absorption by forests and plants in Japan. So how to realize the 35% and 10% for final products and the primary energy? Okay. First, we estimated the cost of a renewable energy-based system in Japan. The expansion of renewable energy, for example, solar panel, hydropower, wind power, geothermal, and biomass. And we have to develop a plastic reduction technology and the carbon capture technology. And in total, we need 165 trillion Japanese yen, which is huge money. And average for 30 years, 5.5 trillion Japanese yen is corresponding to 1% of total GDP in Japan, which is huge. And my friend, Professor Thomas Palacios, MIT, he pointed out to me, establishment of carbon neutral society is very important, of course, but who can pay for this cost? He claimed to me. And I could answer to his question, who can pay for this cost? That's the reduction of primary energy usage, okay? In case of Japan, all the primary energy was imported, okay? So reduction of import cost of primary energy in Japan will increase. And also we can reduce CO2 emission by the stop coal usage, the technology development of bioplastic or recycling, and carbon capture technology, and stop oil usage. And by 2050, we can perfectly reduce the CO2 emission. And more importantly, it is economically profitable. If we estimate the reduction of primary energy usage cost and the cost of renewable energy, first 10 years, this is the each year's deficit, and from 2033, it changed to surplus each year. And the total deficit continues until 2043, but from 2044, it changes to total surplus. It reaches 60 trillion Japanese yen. So why don't we start the change of energy system? That's our opinion. That's my opinion. And second, how to realize energy consumption per GDP to 35%, okay? We can realize it. This is the Tesla, the world's most famous electric vehicles. They use the lithium-ion battery. This is DC, direct current, but the motor is AC. So we have to change from DC to AC. And we use the transistors. Now, the Tesla uses the silicon transistors or silicon carbide transistors. Okay, this is Tesla 3 inverter. Maybe you know this shape. it's an American map, okay? It's a Tesla's inverter. By using the gallium nitride transistors, we realized 65.2% reduction of electricity usage, which means we realized that 35%. And in very near future, we will realize all gallium nitride vehicles. Okay. And oh, sorry. Just a moment. Oh. No. Oh. Sorry for that. For primary energy fossil fuel reduction, we have to realize new electricity grid system using the gallium nitride for high-speed intelligent power conditioners. Okay. So we will contribute to establish carbon neutral society by the gallium nitride and the new system based on this new material. So if you are interested in our activity, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor Amano, for this very interesting presentation. And you remind me of the years 80s, 90s, when many research groups in the world looked for new light emitting materials, zinc, cyanide, and so on. Only in Japan, the researchers were very insistent. And when in the 80s, a lot of groups decided not to continue investigations on gallium nitride,
Right.
You continued. And well, I usually tell to students in Moldova that Professor Hiroshi Amano and his colleagues got the Nobel Prize due to their insistence. And insistence and confidence. Yeah, that's actually a very good example that the researchers should be very insistent, and they should realize very deep investigations. And your example is wonderful. I got a question here in chat. Probably you also have the possibility to read it. Concerning perovskite solar cells is also a great achievement of Japanese group to discover these impressive materials. And now many groups from all the world are working on it. I have one question. What are the secrets that Japanese researchers are top leaders on the new discoveries? Well,
thank you so much. Yeah, the system is very nice. I think we call it the kakenki. It's the funding from the Ministry of Education, and all the people have the same rights to propose, and the percentage is not so high, about 15% to 30%. But if the young people have the good idea, they can propose equally. That's the very important, I think.
yeah, thank you.